Hello, Syngap land. My name is Michael Graglia. Today is Friday, September 3rd, and this is episode 25. 25 episodes of Syngap 10, your 10-minute weekly briefing about everything you need to know about Syngap 1. I woke up to the best email ever today. The best email ever. It was an email from a dad, and he said, Mike, I watched Dr. Mignorance's webinar yesterday, and I really finally understood what you've been saying all this time. There really is hope. And let me know how I can get involved. I want to engage. And you know who you are, and thank you so much for that email, because A, you affirmed what I thought as I was in that webinar yesterday. It was an incredible webinar. And if you're like, what happened? Go watch the webinar, syngap.fund/Anna, A-N-A, syngap.fund/Anna. It was world class. She reviewed all the different therapeutic modalities and all the reasons families should be hopeful. I've said this before, but just sounds better coming from Anna. Go watch that webinar. It was world class. And Dr. Marta Dehia, who is a Syngap mom and a member of our board of directors, indeed she's the co-chair of our board of directors, did an amazing job of facilitating that webinar. So thank you, Marta, and thank you, Anna. Back to this dad. And he said, let me know how I can help. And he said, honestly, I thought it was too late for my kid. His kid is older than 10. And I realized watching this that that's not true, that there's still reason for hope. So incredible message there from a parent, and exactly what I think of as really the work of SRF is to take people who have children with this devastating diagnosis and to help them understand there's some serious science. I mean, this isn't like we should be hopeful because hope is good, although that's not a bad argument, but really we should be hopeful because science is at the stage right now where it's possible to help our kids in a meaningful way, to go to the root, to go into the brain and to make more Syngap. And Syngap specifically is an ideal candidate because it's haploinsufficient, because we are an organized patient community, because SRF is a credible partner for scientists, and because we have our data. Last week, I went a little tough love on Citizen, and I pounded the table, and I said, if you're not in Citizen, get in Citizen. Half of the U.S. population is in Citizen. So, but a smaller fraction of the UK and the Canadian population is in Citizen. And I just want to remind the people in the UK and Canada, yes, you have to collect your own records, but you're still eligible to join Citizen, and we will help you collect your own records. So if you're a Brit or a Canadian or an Aussie for that matter, if you want to make sure your child's data is included in this valuable data set that we have paid for, cultivated, and are actively working to connect to different research institutions. Literally, the last call I had today was with a number of some of the best researchers in the world for genetic epilepsy, talking about how we're going to get them the Citizen data. It's actually not that hard, but we're making it happen, and this data is going to inform so many papers, so much publication. You want to be a part of this party. But the trouble with me going tough love last week was that really I was preaching to the choir. If you're spending 10 minutes listening to me again, you've probably already signed up for Citizen. So I'm going to go a step further. If you've signed up for Citizen and you're a parent, but you're talking to other parents, it's a good question. Hey, have you signed up for Citizen yet? Do you understand that it's free and it only takes you 15 minutes? Then you get this great dashboard, and then the data is available for the whole community. People, go out, spread the word, challenge other parents to sign up. But that's not even what I want to talk about today. Other thing I want to talk about today, I sent out a newsletter yesterday. And these newsletters, I'm not going to lie, I'm dyslexic. It's just spelling is hard for me. Putting together I'm dyslexic and I'm visual and I like things to look good. And so I spend a lot of time on these newsletters. I'm embarrassed to tell you how much time and energy goes into these newsletters. So we sent out a newsletter yesterday, which for you is like just another email in your inbox. But for me is like, woohoo, major accomplishment. Read the newsletter. First thing I do in the newsletter is I link to Dr. Mignorance's webinar and I say, that was amazing. So go watch the webinar. And if you want to read, you're like, wait, where's the newsletter? I can't find it. syngap.fund/SEPT for September. syngap.fund/SEPT for September. Just go read the newsletter right now. And then I talk about Citizen, which I already just went over. I sort of got ahead of myself there. And I'm reminded us that in addition to being profiled on CBS and partnering with RareX, Citizen also just won an award for its commitment to protecting personal health data. So if anyone is concerned about, wait, who's going to get my data and is it going to be, am I going to know what's going to happen to it? Yes, it's world class. It's best in class. They just got a major award for it. So that's exciting. The other thing I talked about is F78.A1. F78.A1. We got an ICD-10 code, and that's effective in less than a month. So October 1st, you can go to your clinicians, your therapists, your clinicians, your hospital, anyone who's sending you a bill. And if you're in the US, you can put that code on the bill, and you should put that code on the bill because we want insurance companies to start learning about Syngap 1 and understanding it. And there's also a whole health economics thing. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but F78.A1, it's really important. There's a link to the blog in the newsletter, syngap.fund/sept. And for my international listeners, you will ask the question, hey, wait, is this just in the US? The answer is yes. Why is it in the US? Why are you leaving us out? We're not leaving you out. We're going to get the rest of the world on ICD-11. Hans is working on that. This stuff is not simple. Please go to the newsletter, click on the ICD-10 link. We talk about international on the bottom. We are moving as fast as we can for all of our kids, And then I talk in the newsletter about the clinical trial readiness thing, and that's huge too. We're raising money to analyze the citizen data, to develop biomarkers so that regardless of which company or lab develops a therapy first, second, and third for our kids, the enabling environment is there. So back to Dr. Mignorance's incredible webinar yesterday that really took a tremendous amount of complex material, simplified it, and presented it in a way that was just, she's so good. What was I saying? Clinical trial readiness. So back to Mignorance's thing. There's a lot of reasons companies will go after Syngap 1. There's a lot of companies working in this space. A number of them behind the scenes, and they sort of reach out to us and ask us questions and let us know they're working on it, but it's not official. It's not above water. We can't talk about it, whatever. Good things are happening. There's reason to be hopeful. And the question is, when they come to us and say, okay, it's go time, I want to do a clinical trial, are we going to be ready? Do you know where your kid's genetic report is? Are you going to qualify for the trial? Do you have all your medical records? Can you answer detailed questions? The answer would be yes if you were a citizen, by the way. Do you understand the difference between an ASO and an AAV? Towards the end of Mignorance's presentation today, she pointed out the CDKL5 community, which is just like us. They've been like, where's the therapy? Where's the therapy? Where's the therapy? Suddenly, 3 therapies. And now parents are like, wait, I only get to do 1 because the body will have an immune response to the AAV. So which one do I do? These are like meta level questions. And the sooner we form a community of parents and begin the discussion and start to understand these different things, the sooner we're going to be able to tackle them together. If you are a Syngap parent and you are feeling alone and isolated and you're like, what the hell is going on? And then if therapy comes along and you don't know who to talk to, that is the wrong time to realize that we're all in this together. The time to realize we're all in this together is right now. If you are not in touch with all the Syngapians who live near you, if you are not in touch with members of the board of directors of SRF, if you don't know us and we don't know you, fix that. Because folks, life doesn't get simpler. Life does not get simpler. Our kids don't get simpler. These therapies aren't going to get simpler. They're not going to be cheap either. There's a whole payment side of this, but let's not go there. And then there's how do we support kids who've been treated and what are the follow-on treatments and what are the combination treatments? Life does not get simpler. And some people are hearing that and they're like, my life's already pretty complicated. I get it. But it doesn't get simpler. So the sooner you find your tribe and you start working with other Syngap parents, the sooner we'll be able to tackle these incredibly challenging issues together. Read the newsletter, syngap.fund/September. In there, I have a link to the gala. We are doing a gala in October. Super cool. I have a link to 3 recent podcasts that featured SRF. You're like, Mike, we don't care about your podcast. Care about the podcasts. Those are podcasts that are by industry, for industry, where people are learning about SRF and Syngap. And those are the people who are going to develop drugs for our kids. It matters. There's a link in there to the video recently done by Dr. She's smart. She should be a doctor. By Vicky Arteaga and Juan, who lead Syngap Research Fund in Latin America, aka Fondo Syngap. Amazing video. It's got subtitles if you don't speak Spanish. It's beautiful. And then a big thank you to Dr. Rumba and his lab for a tremendous paper they just put out in the PNAS, which is one of the very best journals. We're going to let them come in and talk about that. And then just some wonderful pictures at the end of that newsletter about some family get-togethers that happened everywhere from the Jersey Shore to San Diego to Half Moon Bay to Coeur d'Alene. Coeur d'Alene. So just incredible stuff going on, guys. And there's a tribe here. There's a community for you. Make sure you engage with it. Make sure you meet the other Syngap families. And make sure you're ready for the future, because the future's coming and there's a lot of good news. Be hopeful. Have a wonderful Labor Day weekend. And if you have any questions, please email me, Mike at syngapresearchfund.org. Thanks.